ladies and gentlemen, to Anime here on Reaction and Review. Tonight, guys, I'm checking out a film from 2012. That movie is Berserk: The Golden Age, Arc 2, The Battle for Doldrey. Again, similar to the previous film, that title is excessively wordy, and we don't need two subtitles for something like this. Now, I just mentioned the previous film, and for those of you who did not catch that video before jumping to this one, I really thought that it was a very, very interesting film, except it was brought down by the horrible use of cel-shaded CG for all the battle sequences and any kind of action sequence and anything on horseback. And it just looked so terrible, especially when compared to the hand-drawn animation. I have a funny feeling that we are going to get even more of that here, so I basically am either going to have to, settle for it, I'm going to have to get used to it, which really isn't something a person should have to do, or perhaps maybe, between the first film and this one, they fixed it. I have no idea. I am hoping for this thing to be decent, though, and the only way I'm going to find out is if I shut up and I push play, and I'm going to do that right now. So, without further ado, it's time to kick back, relax, and check out Berserk: The Golden Age, Arc 2, The Battle for Doldrey. Guys, I really did not think that this would be possible, but the fucking CG in this thing, it's gotten worse. Specifically, guys, in terms of trying to render the blood here, it has gotten substantially worse from the previous film. It actually, guys, has gone from just looking kind of fucking it's gone from looking unnatural to just looking incredibly ugly. And I really am not sure if I'm going to be able to get fucking used to this, guys. Guys, it really is awesome to see, Guts just completely massacre an entire army alone. It really is awesome. It would be even better, though, if this thing was actually animated better, and if the blood splatter didn't look so terrible, and if the movements weren't so bad. Again, guys, I'm just bitching about this god-awful CG that this film absolutely insists on using. Because, guys, it really is taking something that is really, really awesome, and it's kind of ruining it a little bit with its low fucking god-awful quality, you know what I mean? Will they please just kill this fucking, general? He has been nothing but irritating since this frickin' film, started. And they have hinted numerous times, guys, at Casca or Guts just finally just up and killing him. And so far, they still haven't. And god damn it, I want him to die. And even guys with the horrible CG, I want him to die a slow, bloody fucking death. Well, guys, I asked, for him to die a slow and bloody death, and it was certainly kind of bloody, but it was also a little bit too quick. The son of a bitch should seriously have suffered. But plus side is, at least they finally fucking offed him. That makes me pretty goddamn happy. Sorry, guys, if I'm not saying much. I really, really, really am getting sucked in. I'm really getting sucked into the story here, because guess what? As much, guys, as I have griped about the obvious flaws this thing has, its writing is absolutely stellar, and it really is the one thing that is saving this. Well, guys, that was Berserk: The Golden Age, Arc 2, The Battle for Doldrey. Let's shut that off. Okay. Alright, before I get into anything else, I need to stress this, because this, guys, is like the biggest fault this film has, and I've talked about it almost non-stop throughout this entire video, but now I'm gonna take some time, I'm gonna go into detail here. The CG in this thing almost ruins it. Allow me to explain. Now, this movie, as well as its prequel, and also based on the little trailer we got at the end of this thing, the sequel, all insist on utilizing cel-shaded CG for pretty much anything that isn't a close-up shot featuring three characters or less. everything that has say 4 characters or more, anything which is a battle sequence, anything which is on horseback, is all done in this cel-shaded CG, which, okay, you know, I have no problem with them wanting to use that, but it would have been nice if they would have either done the whole thing in this cel-shaded G, or done the whole thing in hand-drawn animation. The reason why I say this, guys, is because when you have a wide shot of a character, and they look kind of flat and lifeless, and the movement isn't quite as smooth as it probably should be, and then we cut to a close-up, and all of a sudden the character's face has fucking detail, and they're actually moving in a slightly more fluid manner, or a slightly more natural manner, you know, it is incredibly jarring, and this movie does this on a constant basis. I will say that in terms of sweeping crowd shots and the massive battle sequences, as long as we're not at ground level, I mean like the ultra wide shots of the battle sequences look amazing. It's just once we get down into the thick of it, and we start seeing, you know, like Griffith or Guts or Casca just completely going bonkers against the enemies, is when the CG begins to show all of the problems with it. Besides, honestly, the fact that when you are that close and you can actually see a character's face, you see that they have absolutely zero, I mean, they have zero, like, detail or definition in the face, which is kind of weird considering when they go into close-ups, there's a mountain of detail there. You know, but also one other issue, and I've talked about this in live-action films, I'm going to talk about it here, the CG blood that is used here looks hideous. And again, guys, this all ties into the battle sequences. So anytime that somebody is stabbed or slashed at with any, you know, kind of weapon, the blood just like spurts out, and it looks terrible, okay? Now, as much detail as they put into the horses and into a whole lot of the armor, a whole lot of the weapons, the banners, you know, like the castles, with all of the detail that they put into that, this fucking like fifth-rate blood, you know, splatter, it looks terrible. And this thing, you are going to notice it quite often, because this thing is substantially bloodier than the previous film. And the only time that they ever really utilize hand-drawn blood is if it's a close-up shot, and it's usually because somebody has like a bloody nose or a busted lip, and you just see the blood flow. And in those shots, it looks fine, and the blood actually looks right. And then we cut to those battle shots again, and then there are people being, you know, stabbed, and the blood's like gushing out in these little fucking like geysers. And it takes shots that would have probably been really cool, and it absolutely ruins them. Guys, this thing is absolute evidence why you should not use CG as a crutch. If they really wanted to do these kinds of sweeping, awesome battle, you know, sequences, perhaps maybe then they should have splurged a little bit extra and just made the damned thing a live-action film. I would have totally been happy with it being, you know, live-action. At least then it would probably have looked better. Especially since then, if you're trying to render horses and armor and shit in CG, for a frickin' live-action movie, it's actually going to look a little bit better, because when you attempt to go for a cel-shaded look, every single fault and flaw just jumps out. One of the big flaws I notice is shading. Shading and shadow that is put onto everything. It doesn't look right. Once more, especially when you jump into those close-ups. This whole thing, guys, would have been fixed if the close-ups were done in the same style as all of the wide shots, because then everything would have matched up perfectly. Everything honestly would have looked great. Instead, it is so fucking jarring. It's going to pull you out of the story. And no film should ever do that. The worst part, guys, about all of this is that everything else about this movie is amazing. Our story here is fantastic. Our dialogue is awesome, and the English dub is fantastic. The music here is stunning, and everything here, guys, is just laid out in such a beautiful fashion. all of it is almost shot to shit because of this terrible CG that the fucking studio absolutely insists on ramrodding down the viewers' throats, but they were too fucking lazy to actually do the whole goddamn thing in it so that way shots match up when you move from wide angles to close-ups or group shots to two shots, you know, and then everything might have actually fucking matched. But no, it looks ugly, it looks terrible, and it's almost guaranteed to pull you out of the movie. Now, yes, you can probably get, you know, like, used to it as you continue to watch, as long as perhaps maybe you close your fucking eyes during every single one of the close-up shots. Guys, that really, to me, is the thing. I'm going to tell you right now, I can totally recommend this. But I would have been able to have, you know, recommended it a fuckload more if the whole thing, if the entire product in terms of just general looks looked better. Perhaps maybe once more if they either went with all hand drawn or they went with all CG, or perhaps maybe only utilized the CG for things such as the massive sweeping crowd shots and the massive battle, you know, sequences, and things such as, say, you know, like, and then things such as, say like confetti and all that, which frankly looks fine when it's done in CG, or the groups of birds you'll see like flying around and all that's done in CG, and all of that looks fine. You know, perhaps maybe if they would have fixed all of that, you know, perhaps maybe if they'd have only done all of that shit in CG and done everything else in hand drawn, it would have been fine. Especially if the hand-drawn shit at least matched what was there for CG, or vice versa. Now, I guys could probably sit here and bitch at great length about the horrible CG in this thing, but I do have other things to talk about, and even though I've kind of touched on them all just a couple of minutes ago, I do want to kind of touch on it all you know, once more. The writing in this thing, guys, is absolutely amazing. We have a fantastically written battle, you know, sequence, which actually is the titular battle for, you know, Doldrey, and everything there in terms of writing, pacing, the layout, everything in terms of how it was written is fantastic, and it's going to keep you interested. And once more, it would have kept you more interested if the CG wasn't such a piece of shit. I'm going to stop talking about that, I promise. I'm going to try to stop, because god damn it, guys, because almost every single positive can then be followed up with, it would have been better if the CG wasn't, you know, shit. So I'm just going to leave that out. You guys can just fill it in as we go. Acting. Well, I did watch the English dub of this, and the English dub is done very, very, very well. Everything here is done is just done almost perfectly in terms of voice acting. Every single character was cast cast beautifully, and every actor turned in a fantastic showing. Our music here is sweeping and gripping, orchestral, and awesome. I loved the music here. And our characters, when it comes to how our characters are designed, they look fine, but I'll let you fill in that blank. Yeah, guys, ultimately, when all is said and done, am I able to recommend this thing? Kind of, yes, but once more, similar to the first movie in this little trilogy. If you can find the original Berserk animated series, by all means, go and watch that first, because it doesn't have the technical, you know, fuck-ups that this thing and its prequel had, and I have a funny feeling its sequel is going to have also. I can definitely recommend it, but also as I do recommend it, you are probably going to want to watch the first entry in this series prior to jumping to this one, but that honestly is just common fucking logic. And once more, the technical issues are definitely a possible deal breaker for many. Now guys, Now, guys, Berserk: The Golden Age Arc 2, the battle for Doldra. It came off the Amazon wish list. The person who sent it in was Ike, and I would love to give you Ike's channel, but he never sent me a channel, and I believe I mentioned this when I covered the first one. I actually had to ask other people if it actually was Ike who sent in this, because Ike never sent me a message saying yes, no, or fuck you. He didn't tell me a thing. But anyway, Ike, still, I do certainly thank you, dude, and I am going to be hanging on to this because even though I couldn't stand the CG, the writing here is just so fantastic that I am not going to sneer at it. It's just going to be a little bit more difficult to watch than say something that was done good. Now, that was certainly good, and I am kind of looking forward to watching the third one, which is going to be a little later on this month, and that's partially because, once more, I have seen the series of this that was out years and years ago, and the ending is just one of those absolutely fucked up things, and I really want to see exactly how they pull it off in film, form. But I am going to have to wait until later on this month. I've got 3 more movies I have to get through before I jump into that, and hopefully I'm going to get something good out of those 3 movies. I'm actually looking at one of them right now, and yeah, I'm not exactly looking forward to that one. Anyway, guys, with that, we come to the close of another reaction and review. Until next time, ladies and gentlemen, take care, and I will see you all in the near future. Peace.